Hey everyone. In this video, I want to talk about 4 arguments that convinced me to believe in past lives. And note I said believe and not know for a fact, because until you have a direct perception regarding your past lives, you can't know. But this video is not about knowing. This video is about making an educated guess, you could say, or holding a belief that's wise to hold. So I'll go through the arguments in a way that goes from, in what is, in my opinion, the strongest to the least strong argument. But I think all 4 matter. So the first argument that really convinced me more than any other is considering possibilities. There's 2 possibilities regarding past lives, right? Either they exist or they don't. Meaning, either after your death you find a new birth, or you don't, right? And then there's also 2 cases of belief. Either you believe that's the case or you don't. So we can look at all 4 of these cases. First, let's look at, suppose you don't believe in past lives, and there are also no past lives. So your belief is correct. You'll go through life living, I guess for the here and now, knowing that, or believing that your actions don't really matter, that after death it's the end. And when you die, it is the end, and nothing mattered. So you can kind of live however you want, and at the end it doesn't matter. That's one possibility. Another possibility is you don't believe in past lives, but there are. In that case, because you did not believe in past lives, you act in a way where you don't really have a regard for what happens after you die, because in your belief, nothing happens after you die, or your actions don't matter. But in the end, they do. And so in this permutation, your belief has caused you to act in a way that's not ideal, in the best case. In the worst case, it causes you to act in a way that's harmful to your future. Another case. Suppose past lives are real, and you believe they're real. In this case, you'll live not only for this life and for the good of this life, but for the good of your future after your death, right? You'll act in a way that's conducive to, long-term well-being. And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. And when you die, it turns out that is the case, and you continue reaping the benefits. So in this permutation, not only did you live a life that was good in this life, helping other people, developing good qualities, diminishing bad qualities, whatever you did, right? After your death, those benefits continue. So it's a win-win if you believe and it is in fact true. And in the last permutation, suppose you do believe, but it turns out it's not the case. There's no past lives. In this permutation, you still live, like I said, in a way that's good in this life, that helps yourself, helps others, expanding wholesome qualities, diminishing unwholesome. And when you died, it didn't matter, but along the way, you had a good life. So no harm done, right? So with these 4 cases, I hope you can see that somebody who believes in past lives brings themselves no harm from that belief, whether or not it's true. They still act in a way that leads to a good life. And somebody who doesn't believe, in the case that it is in fact true that there's no past lives, that person doesn't believe, it's kind of neutral. But in the case that there is past lives, like in the off chance, let's say, the person who didn't believe ended up basically, at best case, you could say, not using this life well. Their belief led them to squander a possibility, an opportunity that they had. They didn't take advantage. That's the best case. In the worst case, they spend this life stealing, raping, doing awful things to other people, and in the end, paying the price for it, right? So this was the strongest argument for me, because just this argument alone, if you really consider it carefully, you'll see there's no reason not to believe in past lives. And it's actually a wise assumption to make, you could say. but we have 3 more arguments that I have. My next argument is considering the present moment. What is the present moment right now for you? That's a broad question, but the answer I'm looking for is this moment now is simply a direct result of the previous moment, right? Everything that exists in this moment right now exists as a child of the moment right before. And every moment in your life has been a string of these, you could say deaths and births of a moment, right? And that's true for every being. So, in my consideration, it's logical to assume that the first moment, the moment of birth that you had, or you could say the moment of birth, it's a little controversial. Let's say your first moment of consciousness in this current body that you have. It's, in my mind, logical to assume that that moment also was born of a previous moment. Likewise, the moment of your death, the last moment you have in this body, I think is logical to assume will birth another moment after. I think it makes much more sense if we look at our lives now. It makes much more sense to extrapolate that before and after this life also. That's my second argument. My third argument is about a contrary belief and why. Okay, I'll just say it. It's common to believe that we're born from nothing and we go to nothing. I think that makes less sense than past and future lives. If you look at, nature, everything's being reused and going through cycles. So if you really do believe that we go from nothing and we come from nothing and we go to nothing, I think you're basically saying that your existence is special in this world. That everything else goes through cycles, but you are the only thing that does not have a cycle. That it simply arises, passes away, and ceases completely. I think that's unlikely. Now, if you have a belief in God, and heaven, hell, all these things, I think we have some common ground in the idea that our actions in this life influence our, existence after death. So, of course, I would still disagree with you, but I think we have more common ground, so we don't have to debate that. That's my third argument. And my last argument is this. I think looking at the world in this way, through the scope of not just this is my only life, but through the scope of I've had many lives, and I may continue to have many lives, depending on what I do. I think it makes a lot of things, it explains a lot of things. It makes a lot of things clear. Like, for example, how can two people be born in the same place under similar circumstances but have very different, let's say, likes and dislikes, for example? Very different tendencies, personalities. You understand? How can two people experience the same thing but have different conclusions from that experience? Believing in past lives lets you see that, in fact, the reason there's such a variety of people's experiences is because their experiences in this life are informed and influenced by impressions they've had over countless lives before. So to conclude, I'd like to say that believing in past and future lives is simply wise. It's logical. It's helpful. We can draw conclusions about the world that I think lead to good results. So I think it's a good idea to believe in them. Again, this video was never to say they definitely exist. Simply to say it might be the most likely option, most likely possibility, and also it's the most helpful belief to hold. I hope I didn't go on too long. I hope this video wasn't too long. To anybody who got this far in this video, I'd like to say please consider these arguments very carefully. I hope you can come to the conclusion that I have regarding this belief that I hold, because a lot of my videos and just the wisdom that's being shared on this channel will hinge on the arguments I made here. Because maybe a fifth argument that I didn't mention is, and this is something that you might learn as you go, is that believing in past lives and future lives allows you to make certain conclusions or assumptions that are very helpful beyond what I've said in this video. And if you watch some of my other videos, that will start to become clear. So, thanks for watching. May you be happy. Goodbye.